Get Smoking jumped inwards, but propelled itself to the early lead. Chazz in the white colours directly behind. Enshide in the greys towards the far side, followed by Mutafawa in the blue jacket and the red cap, joined by Naval Crown, whose arms up the far side. Bernoil's in the yellow and green colours. Emiratiana got just ahead. Louder Scion, then comes Happy Romance. They race in the middle of the course, hard up on the outside. Man of Promise in the all blue, kept company by Creative Force, Taxiwala. Now they all in a bunch. They followed by Air de Vals, who's next best. A Case of You under the outside rail, banging contention. The pink colours of Casa Creed is towards the end of the field. They're halfway through the El Cos sprint, and Kuzam towards the far side. I'd say he's just about the leader. Mutafawa, Man of Promise. Then comes A Case of You, who's getting into the hunt as well. Happy Romance, a chance in between runners. Further back then to Emiratiana and Taxiwala past the 200. A Case of You lays it down to Man of Promise. Man of Promise trying to get on terms. A Case of You got him on the ropes. Then comes Happy Romance. A Case of You, though, comes home to win the El Cos. A Case of You won it. Happy Romance second. Man of Promise third. Fourth close, Naval Crown, Casa Creed involved. Taxiwala. Then came Kuzam. They were ahead of Mutafawa. Bernoil was next to finish. Chazz, Louder Scion in Shiden. They were ahead further back of Creative Force, Emiratiana, Air de Vals and Get Smoking. Okay.
An Irish winner, fantastic. A Case of You. He's a classy colt. He won the Prix de l'Abbé. He chased a Man of Promise here last time. That form has been emphatically reversed. William was never able to get there. A Case of You has won that very, very nicely.
No, just follow the stand side all the way through. And, I mean, as soon as the front runner started backing up a little bit, you saw Ronan just kind of start asking them and picking it up. And when they passed us word about the furlong pole, maybe a little bit further out, and, I mean, Case of You was going to go right by and go right to the winner's circle. And, I mean, so happy for trainer Adam McGuinness. He really wanted this one really, really bad. He thought he was live in the Breeders' Cup last year, thought the distance was a little too short for him, and this has been his goal. He got enough out of that prep race. I mean, he flew at the end of the race last time. Everyone was just looking at Man of Promise, but he was flying to get up for second. And, man, just congratulations to all the connections there on A Case of You.
Yeah, owned by Gary Devlin. Adam McGuinness, as you mentioned, been a big supporter of the Dubai Carnival. He brought over two, Pierre Lapin and Harry's Bar, and neither really did a great deal, if we're honest. Harry's Bar did go home and win since, though, which was good. And then this was the big one, and they always had a plan. He said, we're coming to the Alquoz, we're going to prep for the prep, which is what they did with that little race he won at Dundalk. And that was a very, very good performance. I don't want to take any shine off it, but the rail was undoubtedly a help.
It certainly looked that way, but, I mean, credit, by the way, to Happy Romance, getting up for second there, passing Man of Promise in the last 50 yards to get up for second.
Yeah, she's such a good filly, isn't she? That's the second time that she's landed a big check, but sadly not been able to win. Happy Romance, obviously third, as we mentioned, the 13.51 in Saudi, and gone one better than that here. And no show from Creative Force, but Naval Crown finished fourth for Charlie Appleby, just ahead of the US Raider Casa Creed.
And those are the horses that had the form. Those are the horses that had been running. It just seemed like it was a little too tough coming off the layoff. I thought the horse would be kind of more ready to fire a big one.
So great story. A Case of You was a buyback by Connections, I think, for just €3,000. And he has now won them two big races, and he's already confirmed as a stallion. You know, he won, as I said, that Prix de l'Abbé, which is probably the best sprint, certainly the best 5 furlong sprint in Europe. And now he's come over here, vastly different circumstances, and won this. Prix de l'Abbé's always run on very soft ground, heavy as it was last year. 5 furlongs, Parry Longchamp. Comes here, fast ground, 6 furlongs. What a versatile horse.
I think it really fits him. I mean, his turn of foot really takes off on that hard, firm ground. He's not really slipping and sliding. He was just cruising, running right by us.
Rona Whelan had a little spell over here a few years ago. Managed to get 3 winners during that time. Well, this will be one of the biggest wins of his career, up there with the Prix de l'Abbé victory, of course. And they kept him pretty busy, as you mentioned. They went over to the Breeders' Cup after that. He ran an excellent 5th behind Golden Pal. And then that race at Dundalk, and then this one. And
cameras.
It's wonderful to have an Irish winner of this race. Soul Power would, I think, be the most recent one to score from the Emerald Isle with Richard Hughes a few years ago.
And is this something where we might see a rematch between Golden Pal and A Case of You in Ascot in a few months' time?
It could well happen, couldn't it? I mean, they'd actually have a choice of races for A Case of You, I'd say. They could go to the the newly renamed Platinum Jubilee over the 6 furlongs, 1,200 metres on the Saturday. Or they could go to the King's Stand over the 1,000 metres. He is such a good horse by Hot Streak, as we mentioned. It just seems to me to be a thoroughly straightforward horse. And bearing in mind, as I said, he's still an Entire. He's been, as they kept fairly busy. It's his 7th win from 14 starts now, so a strike rate of 50%. And Ada McGuinness, superb character. They will have a good old party tonight, these Irish.
This horse trained all week long on the training track and just got better and better every day. He just looked the picture, as Acclaim Express was trotting by next to him.
Still heartbreaking for Acclaim Express. He didn't manage to get into the race. I'm very happy we got a European winner. I wasn't sure we were going to get one prior to the start of racing today. This one looked earmarked for Godolphin. The Gold Cup looked a little bit too strong, but got one in the end. And it's interesting because the Irish traditionally haven't been all that... Well, they have been strong at sprinting, but they, up until very recently, when the Flying Five at the Curragh was upgraded, they never actually had their own Group 1 sprint. It's been only the last couple of years that they've had that race, and they've always had to go over to England with their better sprinters. This is just such a
It's an emotional winner circle.
There's Ado on the right. He is brilliant fun. And he was they were probably a little bit down after bringing over Harry's Bar and Pierre Lapin and really failing to do much at the carnival with those two horses. But this one is a really, really special horse. And a lot of people here to cheer him on as well. I hope the hospitality area is primed for later. It's going to get badly hit.
and there's something to be said about making a plan. To come to Dubai to the World Cup, you have to have that plan in mind. And Adam McGuinness had that plan from the Breeders' Cup. He was going to have the prep at home to the prep over there and then run over here. And when the plan comes to fruition, it's a very